How much of your success do you equate to social media, or do you?
All of it. We actually are not as heavy in recruiting agents because
I think that's super, super smart. I should do that more often too.
people appreciate authenticity. Totally not going to gatekeep on this because I think it's so helpful and I want everyone to be helped by this because it's really grown my business.
The true value of social media is...
So like your Canva hacks basically taught me how to use Canva, just so you know.
It's just you instantly double your audience.
I'm chasing your endorsement, not your wallet.
Welcome back to Simplifying Social Media. I'm your host, Tamany, owner of The Simple Touches, and today I'm so honored to be joined by Casey Anderson. She is the owner of the Coastal Realm Group under eXp Luxury, and they are the fastest and largest luxury real estate team in South Florida. Welcome to the pod, Casey.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you. I feel like you're like, every realtor knows you and loves you and follows you. So I'm so honored to be here with you today.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I've like seen some of your reels. They crack me up. And I'm really excited to chat with you about Instagram and kind of what it's done for your business. But before we do that, let's just kind of chat about your team size, your typical production, just for context, and then we'll jump into social media stuff.
Yeah. So, kind of a rare, I feel like I'm a rare testimony of your real estate luxury agent. When I originally got into real estate, I was actually on the mortgage side and transitioned out of working for my dad's family pest control business up north. So I come to Florida and I get into mortgages. And I have this amazing opportunity, learning experience on mortgage side. And every single realtor I was working with and working for on the loans, they're like, Casey, you got to get out of mortgages. You got to get into real estate. What are you doing? Sitting behind a desk, making TikToks and Instagram reels about mortgages. And I was like, okay. So I got my license and I ended up starting out at RE/MAX, learned a lot, and then was pushed actually by my best friend, Maddie, and who's also an agent on our team, who's partnered with me. And she's like, hey, listen, you should start your own group. I was like, I'm young. At the time, I was 29. And I decided to take a leap of faith about 8 months into my license and created this group called Coastal Realm Group. So now we have over 80 agents just here in this office, pushing over 100 nationwide. And we started this journey in November 2022, and August 22nd, 2024 will mark 2 years of me actually having my real estate license.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, it's not very normal. I know that. At least that's what people tell me. But I'm super thankful, and I have the best team ever. It's like a really tight family here.
How much of your success do you equate to social media, or do you?
All of it. I had a footprint essentially on social as a young kid, between sports and trying to get, in front of coaches. So from the beginning, we've always been very, very active on social media. Facebook was like that first type of push, and then Instagram came out. We got really big on Instagram, and I just leveraged that, transitioning into my mortgage industry to get clients and agents to work with me. And then from there, I'm like, okay, if I can jump into a brand new industry and have agents trust me as their mortgage, specialist, why couldn't they do that the same with real estate? So I've completely leveraged Instagram for not just myself, but we do classes twice a week here in our office for our agents to leverage social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram, on a daily basis.
Interesting. So have you always only targeted other agents for recruiting purposes on Instagram, or do you also go after buyers and seller leads?
So the kicker here, and you can ask anybody on my team, which I'm super grateful for, we actually are not as heavy in recruiting agents because we provide value and post on social, And you, just like, you know this, you are the guru. You're posting your value, you're posting your, your skills and gifts, and people see it. They are attracted to it. They ask questions because they want to be a part of it and learn from you. And then they end up joining my team. So hopefully I don't have to be, recruiting and running after people. The value that our social provides brings people in, which that is very helpful. But I am specifically targeting anybody that needs to buy or sell real estate. I don't focus on just listings or just buyers. I focus on every single person, because I think that margin is better audience-wise for your business.
I love that. And so when you are getting ready to film or create content, talk to me a little bit about that process. What does that look like on your end?
Yeah. So I feel like you are going to seriously give me a tongue lashing when I tell you this, because you're like,
no, not at all.
Content and scheduling things out and really using Canva to the fullest, which I love, because there's so many times where I'll send your videos to my agents and I'm like, do exactly what she says. She's amazing. And here I am, a hypocrite, because I should be doing more of what you're teaching and what I'm teaching. But I really I go with the flow, in the sense of I have a content schedule and I make sure I'm posting pretty consistently. But I really like to talk about what I'm personally going through as an agent. Anything that comes up in contracts, how to protect sellers, how can you protect your buyers, and how to get to win, and be the master negotiator. So when I'm prepping for these videos, I like to be as authentic and real and provide real life situations that we're actively going through, and not always be glammed up, because I think the videos that I have the most views on, I'm not glammed up, I'm not trying to, have a crazy motive. It's really just, hey, let me provide some value and truth of what I just experienced, representing my seller, representing my buyer. And that seems to get the most hits. And so I've just really gone with the flow. I have some scheduled content, but as I'm prepping, I really like to dive deep on how can I impact and help anybody that might be going through a situation like X or Z for a seller and buyer.
So is that just you talking to your phone?
Talking to my phone, whether I'm walking, talking, have the video, even if I'm not looking directly at my video or at my phone. But, we do set up our phones on a selfie stick and we record, and, we do the usual. We get a listing and we, do our walkthrough. We make it fun. We jump on a trending sound, but not even, some sounds we film and we'll hold the video and we'll post the video again for another trending sound, or, save it where there's no text on it so we can, talk about different active things that are going on social.
That's a really good tip. I'm going to reiterate that because you said that really fast. But I think for agents, if you are going through and editing something, to save it before you add the text on it. And that way you can repurpose the footage for another trend that comes up. I think that's super, super smart. I should do that more often too.
Yeah. It takes you time, because remember, the people that see your post in the morning are sometimes not the people that are going to see it in the evening. So I'll even post a story, right? Of a reel. I'll put the reel in my story. And then at 2:00, I'll delete the story and I'll repost it right before dinner time. So then a fresh set of eyes sees it. And even if the same sets of eyes see it, it's still going to increase your views and it's going to increase engagement, because there's some people that didn't see it in the morning.
I've done that where I will put it in my story, but I've never gone and deleted the original. That's really smart.
Yeah, because
I love that.
You don't want a bunch of redundant stories up top, when people are clicking through. Because remember, we all have the attention span of a goldfish on social media. So you can't post a bunch of stuff in your story. You got to delete it, refresh it, and all that good stuff.
Especially now, it's the end of May 2024. A lot of the gurus are saying to dial back on your stories, whereas in the past years, it was post as much as you can to your stories, show off the behind the scenes all the time. And now it's kind of like less is more. What are some other things that you like to put in your stories that you see has some benefit for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very open book. I think people appreciate authenticity and seeing your life, right? Like, you know, I have my audience is not just realtors, but like we said, buyers and sellers, renters. And so when I post in my story, I like to remind them like, hey, I'm human. You know, I'm with my kids. I'm playing a sport. You know, I am out door knocking. Like I'm doing the hustle and bustle with you. I'm hitting the pavement. And I like to post things that relate to people in general. So that way, if there's something that might interest them, they're going to be more in tune to it and then want to see, okay, what is she doing next? Right? Because if I'm just posting as realtors, like if I'm just posting, just sold, just listed this, that, this, nobody cares. I mean, I don't even care. That's boring. So, you know, like you got to post things in your story that are relatable and get them to comment on it or get them to react to it. Like, you know, for example, post a quiz, post a poll, post, you know, should I do X or should I do Z today? You know, or what do you think of this door? For my listing, should I paint it white? Should I paint it brown? Like when you get that engagement with people want to talk to you. People want to have conversation despite the world that we're in where it seems like it's rare. They want that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And offering for the polls specifically, offering options where both or all of the answers are quote unquote correct.
Right.
That was a tip that I learned very early on because I would do a poll where it was like, do you like this? Yes or no? And then every time someone responded no, I would be like, oh, like a little bit offended.
Yeah.
And so like,
they don't want to say no to you.
Right. And so doing something like you said, like black or white, like something more opinion based is going to be easier for them to answer anyway. And you're going to get a lot more engagement on that too.
Yeah. And even like the questions of like, you know, if you do want to bring it back to your business. So, you know, specifically real estate agents, you know, if they want to, after you're like kind of posting like authentic posts about you and your life or whatever, and then maybe at the end, you know, after like 6 or 7 stories, which that might even these days be too many stories, but maybe you post, you know, would you rather rent for, you know, $3,200 or would you rather use your first, last, and down towards a down payment and get a grant from me out of my commission? Right. So when people are answering those questions, most of the people that are answering are intrigued, and then you can start talking about real estate with them without being like a slimy car salesman realtor kind of thing.
I love that. And that might do well with you verbally explaining the 2 options, because that's kind of like a really long thing to put in a poll. But
right.
that way you can get some FaceTime with your audience as well. These are really great suggestions. And are there any other stickers that you like to use other than the poll option?
No, sometimes, you know, I like to show like if I'm talking in a video, I like to go into my camera roll and post like a picture of whatever it is that I'm talking about, like at the bottom. And, you know, whether it's a conversation with a client or maybe they're asking a question about something or something comes back on an appraisal and you're like, how do you, you know, combat this type of objection with an appraisal? And then like you just start talking in your story. Posting the pictures in that little sticker clip at the bottom, I think is always helpful.
People are visual.
Yeah.
And I love that you're sharing what your people are actually going through, because if someone's going through it, other people are also going through it. So it's very easy for people to be like see and get inspired from someone who's been able to buy a house who's in their similar situation as well.
Yeah. And I think it's helpful. Like when I am posting, I'm going to give you I'm like totally not going to gatekeep on this because I think it's so helpful and I want everyone to be helped by this because it's really grown my business. I love posting and tagging people on my stories. Like when you're at the coffee shops in the morning, right? I have a coffee shop where every single person that knows me knows where I'm at every single morning at this coffee shop downstairs from my office. And I always post like a picture of my cappuccino and I tag them and talk about like the best way to start my day full of 7 showings and 4 listing appointments. Typically, what happens when I tag that coffee shop? What is that coffee shop going to do?
Reshare it.
They're going to reshare it, right? And I know that they're going to reshare it, whether it's a coffee shop or a different restaurant or maybe somebody that has a lot of followers. So as soon as I post that, I'm going to post something educational about my job as an agent and a team leader of what I'm doing, whether it's for realtors or for clients, because I know that that person might just venture off from the coffee shop's page and see, well, how does this girl have 7 showings today in this market? How does this girl have 4 listing appointments? And then that's where it triggers that natural value and they come and they want to join. So a lot of my agents have seen my social media in that way from other people posting it and then have been showing interest.
Okay, listeners, I want you to rewind and listen to that again, because the true value of social media is it's not the billboard piece. It's not like post it and set it and forget it. It's the tagging. It's the commenting. It's the sharing. That's when it starts to get exponentially fun, right? Because things start to take off. And that's when your stuff gets in the hands of multiples and multiples and multiples of people, that's where the virality piece comes in. Even though like our goal is not to go viral, but that's when it starts to get really fun, because you never know who's going to see your stuff. So tagging is a great way. Yeah, tell me.
Okay. So I had this idea, and I think every single person in business, whether you're a realtor or just in the industry and you follow you and all of your amazing, Canva hacks. So like your Canva hacks basically taught me how to use Canva, just so you know. So I was like, what the heck is Canva? Like I'm from some blue collar pest control company, family business where like we are not tech savvy. And so like for me, I'm like, I don't know this world. And so you were like my Canva Bible. I hope Canva is taking good care of you, by the way, because amazing. So I used one of your Canva hacks and I created this coffee with Kacie.
Cute.
So same coffee shop downstairs. So I paid for 150 gift cards. And I'm going to have coffee with Kacie on June 3rd from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. where I sit at the front door as they come in and say, hey, coffee's on me today. Have the best day ever. Right? So when you partner with groups like that and in stores and local shops, and then you know that they're going to repost that, because if I'm giving you a $5 gift card and I'm showcasing a local coffee shop, right? Mm-hmm. Now you have $5 to spend. So if you know you have $5 to spend, you're going to buy a coffee and a breakfast item. So now the coffee shop loves me, right? Because I just spent a buttload of money with them myself. But now I'm bringing in people that they know they're going to be slammed from 9 to 11 because people are getting free stuff and they can spend more. So that allows me to have building a rapport with them where I can do that on a monthly or quarterly basis, depending on your budget of what you can spend. And now you are the go-to realtor who buys everybody coffee at the favorite local coffee shop. And again, you're providing a gift. Everyone loves presents and gifts. And
yes,
that's such an easy thing for us to spend money on out of our commissions. Would you agree?
I love that. 1,000%. And I would love to see agents doing it at local mom and pop shops versus like a Starbucks. Have you tried, or I'm curious if you have any experience with using the collaboration feature with local businesses?
Yes. And when I do it, it does work. And I actually followed your tips about, the larger account create first and then the lower account accept. Mm-hmm. And most times in these restaurants and famous like local mom and pops, they're going to have more followers than us. So it's really though, just when you do that, you have to ask their permission of like, hey, would you be willing to post this? Is this branding okay? what is okay for your, your aesthetic, and would you be willing to do this? And I think people are just afraid to ask, and I think it's really smart with how you shared that information before of like the bigger accounts post, collaborate with you, and then you accept, and the engagement, the followers, they go through the roof.
Yep.
It's genius. So
it's really like, I don't know, like it's hard for me to see a business saying no to that. I mean, maybe one will, but like it's free marketing.
I think you have to provide value with it, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So it's like, I'm asking to be posted on your social, but what am I doing to give back to you? And other than just being a regular customer, right? Because there's a million realtors that go to this coffee shop. Literally, there's like 7 of them sitting downstairs right now as we speak. And so for any store, you got to give them value back before you ask, in my opinion. Would you agree? Or like, how would you go about that?
So yeah, that's a great question. I think like one, creating rapport, like you've already done. So, doing different collaborations with them outside of social media, whether it's the business card, the gift card collaboration, or however you want to do that, being seen there, showing face. And then also, if you create a reel that's basically a review of them,
that's smart.
It's going to be really hard for them to be like, no, we don't want to post that.
Right.
If it's like this 5-star review reel of like, come with me to this local coffee shop as I review their famous grandma cappuccino or whatever, like it's going to be really hard it's like, that's free.
And send it to them, like, and then have them post first. Like, how would you go about that?
If it's a true mom and pop and they are social media savvy, maybe. If not, I would probably just post it and invite them as collaborator and just be like, hey, look, I'm going to invite you. Would you mind just accepting? Because it's less work for them. And that way you can, have the caption set up how you want it set up and all the things. Either way, I mean, you're getting what you need out of it. It's getting posted on both accounts. It's a really cool feature that businesses should like be more strategic about. It's just you instantly double your audience.
Right. So my 2 mentors are Carrie Shull and Dan Lesniak. I don't know if you know them, but they are literally incredible. They're billionaire real estate agents. They have 4 kids. They're a powerhouse couple, and they coach me and my team. And Carrie does this amazing thing on YouTube, which when we started this conversation, I said I need to get better on YouTube. But essentially, she calls it, the segment I think is the mayor of your town. Have you ever heard of it?
I have, yep.
So you need to go on Carrie's page and look at it, because she does this thing where it's the mayor of your town, and she goes around on YouTube. You film horizontal, but then after you film your horizontal clips, you also do a quick like vertical one for your phone, and basically do exactly what we're talking about, saying the same thing, where you have a nice reach on YouTube, talking about the community, what it offers, right? And not say anything about you being a realtor or what you're doing, right? Just providing value to people that are looking to move to the area, or maybe they're Googling, because YouTube and Google are owned by the same people. So maybe they're Googling, best coffee shop in town, best diner in town. And your video is going to pop up on a backlink. And then, while you're taking the time to already film it, you can film at the same time, vertical behind the scenes. And so I think that's a really smart thing to do, where if you're going to take the time to film your Instagram, film for your Instagram or your Facebook or TikTok, take the time to also film, horizontally for your YouTube channel and talking about the same thing. Where YouTube, I don't know if you would know this more than me, but like, can you collaborate with other accounts on YouTube? Or if you post something, like, what's that look like? Because I'm not familiar.
I'm just getting started with YouTube as well. I know you can tag. I don't know that the collaboration feature is similar to where it shows up on both. I know YouTube is a much longer game because it's quite saturated and it's been around a lot longer, but the algorithm is much, much different, and the lifespan of your content is much longer. So there are two different ball games you're playing there. And so I agree with you in that you might as well, if you're taking the time to film both.
Right.
However, you do have to keep in mind long form versus short form. So if you just have a half hour to make content, do you really have time to make a YouTube video? Maybe it's just a short, I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you that if you are taking the time to make long form, definitely take the time to make short form as well.
Which I read, like when you're doing, obviously like podcasts are always going to be longer, episodes of families traveling the world, that's going to be longer. But when you're doing just a quick, like local shout out mayor of your neighborhood, I know Carrie, like she says, don't spend more than 10 to 15 minutes doing it. Like showcase what it is, get your point across, because the attention span is so short.
Definitely.
And get to the point like kind of quicker, right? A lot of us, we like to talk about ourselves. And I'm like, we have to get it in our brain that nobody cares, right? They care about the value that you're giving them and how can it help. And so I think like when you're filming on YouTube, like you have to know that. And same with our phones, what's the quick value that you can give your viewers, right? How can they absorb it and make money off of it?
Something that I'm thinking about as you're talking is with both platforms, YouTube and Instagram, if the person likes your content, likes you, likes the way you describe or whatever, they're going to dig deeper. They're going to click over to your profile. They're going to read your bio. They're going to click on your website, whatever. So they're going to find out more about you their own way. So you don't need to spend that time. Hi, I'm Tamany at The Simple Touches. We do lead generation. Like that's 30 seconds where they've scrolled off your video. You don't need to take the time to do that in every single video. They're going to figure that out if they're interested. So really just keeping the video, like you said, short, concise, to the point for that segment of content, and knowing that as long as your bio is optimized, they can quickly find out who you are and what you do if they're interested.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really smart point for you to make. And even all of your videos, you don't ever showcase who you are, which I think you should because you're amazing. But, like at the beginning of your videos, first of all, everybody knows who you are because you're a familiar face, and people will constantly repost and send your stuff because you immediately off the bat from the beginning of the video, you're like, here's 5 tips on how to do X, Y, and Z, right? Boom. And like, you never share your name. You never share like who you are, what you're doing. And I think like you've been really successful with having that delivery as soon as the video starts rolling.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I got really comfortable in that like format of video. And I've been really trying to figure out how to deviate from it. Or if I even want to, because I'm like, well, I'm running out of Canva hacks. So it's like, if I want to start creating other types of content, like what does another format, a successful format look like for me? And like you said, if I want to start showing more about myself, like what does that look like? It's very interesting because I feel like, and maybe you can speak on this on your page, but for me, like my audience showed me what they wanted from me. And that was those really quick, easy wins with Canva. Like that was my first like series that kind of popped off. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep making more of that. And so it's a little bit scary to deviate from what I know my audience likes.
I think you should keep it, even if you're like repeating some things, because like for me, you could share the same hack freaking twice a month. And I would still like listen to it, reprocess it, remind myself of what it is. Because think about like your types of videos are so successful, not just because you have a good presence of how you present, but you are providing tips and tricks that something that seems so complex to so many agents, especially like the older agents that hate technology, hate social media. They love traditional ways of real estate. They're going to watch your video 500 times to really understand what they're doing, pause it, rewatch it. And like, I don't think something like repetition for you isn't going to be a problem, because people need to be reminded of a hack that even if you've already posted it, who cares? Post it again, right? Because you can never provide that much value with Canva and just how technical it is. And even with the new updates, But I think I'm going to challenge you with something for your next.
I love this. Challenge me.
I'm going to challenge you. So obviously, most of your clients that come to you are what?
They're agents.
They're agents, right? And they're looking to what?
Make more money.
Make more money, okay? So with Canva, okay, my biggest thing that I do is I go out and I hit the pavement. So beyond my digital footprint of Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, I'm out hitting the pavement. And in my hand, I know I got to have one somewhere in here, Mads. So I created a 4-week campaign. Thank you. And it's going to be backwards, but I'll send it to you. So it says, hey, neighbor. Okay. I created in Canva. Okay. Again, I'm not that good with Canva and aesthetics. I can go sell sand in a desert. This is not my style, but I created a little like campaign, and I had paid somebody to handwrite addresses on all these envelopes. But in the envelopes, so that they would be forced to open the envelopes, I had a Canva template that says, hello, neighbor. And it's about who I am as their neighbor, not like just sold. Let me give you a market update. This will end up in the trash. This glossy $8,000 door hanger that I just paid for is literally going to be either on the door hanger or on the door for 3 more weeks, or it's just going to go directly in the trash. Like, that's just the way of our world right now, because we're oversaturated with that commercial marketing piece. So in Canva, I would challenge you to create some type of template where agents can easily input about them week 1. Week 2, it is, hey, your stats of what you've done this week, or maybe a personal story, and make it almost like a newspaper kind of feel to it. And then you put these in your envelopes that are handwritten, and you send them out to your farm area. And it's honestly, it saves me money rather than going through a commercial printer. Yes, I'm paying somebody to handwrite envelopes for an hour. It still saves me hundreds of dollars, believe it or not. But it forces my open rate. So they open it and they have this Canva template that basically says, who I am. I'm a local mom. I'm a local wife. I live on 34th Court. I literally say I'm not your typical slimy car salesman realtor.
I'm going to pause you for just a second.
Yeah.
You say that in your videos, so I love that you are mimicking that in your print marketing as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, you have to. And at the end of it, again, what kind of gift are we providing? Because let's be honest, we're in 2024. People want gifts. They want something free, right? So at the end of it, I say, text free LHP coffee to my number, literally my number directly, which you might feel like rolling over right now inside your brain, because you're like, why would you do that? Like, automate it to some system. But I think we've strayed away too much from that personal interaction. And I don't want follow-up boss texting my people anymore. I want to be texting my people, or I want Maddie to be texting my people, because I want them to know, like, hey, we're real. We're not automated AI, right? Like, people want to hear from you. And so this has helped me so much. But make sure on those templates that if you do end up trying that, make sure you put on the bottom of there, please disregard if your property is currently listed with another realtor or broker. This letter is not intended to solicit active listings. To make sure the audience covers themselves. But I've gotten so many calls. I've already gotten several listing appointments from it, and I just started it last month. And
wow.
And I posted it on my social, and everyone wanted that campaign, and I sent it to them. I literally just sent them the same template. It said, copy away, don't care.
Love it. You just reminded me of something that I used to say all the time when I first started my business. And it's so funny, like, the longer you're in business, you like forget the things that you like first started.
Yeah.
But I used to always say, nobody, not even your mother, is going to see 100% of your content. And even if they do, they will not remember it. And I'm like, just kind of, I'm reflecting on my own content right now, but like, I'm on Canva hack 58. Like, I could definitely recreate some of those hacks for sure. But just when, reflecting on like realtor content, it's always going to be challenging if you're trying to always come up with new. Your brand is your brand, and being repetitive is actually going to be more impactful because then you're going to be memorable. Just like how you always repeat, I'm not your slimy dad's realtor, or whatever your tagline is. If you repeat that over and over and over again, they're going to start to be like, oh, that's Kacie. Oh, that's Kacie. Oh, that's Kacie.
Yeah. And I always say, like, I'm not afraid either to speak my truth of who I am. So, for example, like I say, hey, listen, I'm chasing your endorsement. So if I'm at a listing appointment, and I mean this with my entire heart and everybody knows it, I'm chasing your endorsement, not your wallet. Okay. So yes, a 6-7% commission is nice. But at the end of the day, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, listen, my goal in this transaction is to win. I want to win you top dollar. I want to win top dollar for myself. But more importantly, I want to make sure that during this time with us being together, at the end of closing, I can look at you and say, hey, can you leave me a nice review or an honest review? Not even a nice. Can you leave me an honest review? Because Mr. Jones, your endorsement to my business means more to me than making a quick check and crossing it off my whiteboard that transaction is done. And when you say that type of stuff and you show like your heart, you know, you don't always have to be so stiff and strictly business and I'm a luxury agent. Look what I pay jets.com to market your $23 million listing on the, you know, the monitors on the back of the seats. Like, yes, that matters, but people want to know like your heart, who you are, what your motive is, and just being able to say like, I'm chasing the endorsement. I want a good review. I want you to refer me to your mom, sister, cousin, friend, coworker. Like that's my goal. So I think when you verbalize that and even say it in writing and you write it like a love letter to your like neighbors, they can appreciate that because no one's going to take time to write that.
I've been thinking recently that one of the hardest things, especially as women, is to show up on social media as you are and not as you think you should be. That's something that I've been struggling with, maybe as someone who has like self-confidence issues. But I think maybe as an agent who's trying to break into the luxury market, that might resonate with some people. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I agree. And more than that, like when you see someone posting unfiltered videos, like I have reels where I look like insane and homeless and I don't have makeup on. I have my kids pulling at me. Like I'll take live footage of like my kids crying at me, pulling at me, acting insane, me cooking dinner with like high bun. I look like the principal off Matilda, Miss Trunchbull. Like there's things where I'll post myself, super vulnerable and people laugh and can agree and be like, oh my gosh, like I can relate. And it's a safe place for me to be myself and to not put a filter on and even just changing our body types. Like so many people edit their photos and like cinch their waist and do all these things. And I'm like, you just took time to change your appearance because you think someone cares about that. Yeah. When in reality, the amount of time you just took to edit something that's not an income producing activity for you. Oh, I just gave myself a thumbs up. It's not an income producing activity for you, but you just wasted time, money on doing something and looking something like you're not. And then immediately when you're in front of a client and they're like, oh, you don't look like that on social media. Now what's their first impression of you?
Yep.
You're fake, right? Or is this girl or is this guy really all that they're cracked up to be? Because I can't even recognize him sitting across the table from them compared to what they just sent me in the mail. And so we are slowly scaling back from the unfiltered AI, and it sounds all good right now, but I can be honest with you, the people that have money and the people that are having successful transactions, they're older. And older people like the traditional real estate. They like you to be transparent, and they don't care if you cinched your waist for a video or a post. They don't care.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that first step is somebody that you're meeting and they recognize you and you don't look completely different than what you're posting on social.
Yeah, that goes with filters too. If you do use a filter, use a very, very light one and don't like completely blur out your face.
Yeah. Which we use filters, and sometimes I'm like, do I look too plastic?
Right. Right. Does this change me too much?
I look like an Oompa Loompa in this. Like,
Goodness, I could talk to you for hours, but it has been way over time already. So where could everybody find you?
Instagram, it's Casey Anderson Official. Facebook. I think we have a friend limit on Facebook. We need to fix that. I feel like if anybody can fix that, it's you. You need to tell Facebook people like, hey, why do we only have 5,000?
Mark?
Yeah. But Instagram, you can text me, which is 443-340-2200. That is my personal number. Or you can find me at the coffee shop at the Seed every morning, typically at 9 a.m.
And what city are you in?
Lighthouse Point, Florida. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale, essentially, but we're all over South Florida.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for this.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Simplifying Social Media. Let's stay connected on Instagram at Realtor Social Media Marketing. And if you're interested in working with me, head over to thesimpletouches.com and see all my social media marketing services for real estate agents. And I'll see you guys on the next episode.